back to the Oblivious Maximus podcast. Oh my God, guys, we're episode 2. And Aaron, you're back.
I'm back.
Anyone listening to the audio version, I had to tell you it's Aaron, otherwise you think fucking Tom Waits had rocked into the studio. What's going on with your voice, mate?
I have attempted to sing in a band 3 days in a row for the first time in a long time. So apologies in advance for how this sounds. If you can see me, you can also see that I'm, doing okay. But if you're listening to this in your car, I am Tom Waits.
You are Tom Waits. But before we go too much further, we got Otis and Pat here from AWOL. How you going, guys?
Going good. How are you guys?
Good, thanks.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah.
Pat has done it before.
Oh, sure, I have. Yeah,
We talked about Queens of the Stone Age
we did.
many moons ago.
We did. Sorry, I probably should be closer to the mic.
That's okay,
mate.
mate.
Get yourself in.
He's
yeah.
not. He's used to being behind the kit, so he doesn't have one of these in front of him.
The mic's usually
You'll learn.
across the room,
Yeah.
But Otis, first time.
Excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, I'm excited.
you ever
Big
thought
fan. Big fan, by the way.
You ever thought about getting on the mic behind the kit, like doing the headset thing?
Yeah, I should get one of those.
Yeah.
I think Diploid, the drummer from Diploid's rocking the headset mic.
That's sick.
Colin uses one in God's
I was going to
Hate
say
now
your
too.
homie Colin uses it.
Yeah,
Seen that.
the Britney mic.
The Britney
Britney
mic.
mic.
The Britney mic.
I reckon you could have it just for the pit calls or like just yelling. That might go good. That'll be a crowd favorite. New one.
I like really improv'd a few pit calls at that show I played the other night. You were
Oh
there.
yeah, it was great.
And like I don't do that in the slow death metal band usually, but I was like had enough pints that I was like I gotta rip some in here, and I know I definitely just said mosh real slow, and because I wasn't using the voice that has now fucked my throat, it was so much louder. Like because I was just like just from yelling to just like hey mosh real slow.
Your stage banter's unmatched.
Good.
Thank you.
So funny, dude. Kills me every time.
I mean, I learnt from him, really.
Just talk shit.
Just
yeah.
talk shit. Yeah.
Get it going. Yeah.
Well, let's get into the reason why we're here to talk to you guys. I mean, you can go. You got the
you
laptop
guys,
up.
you got new album coming out. Tease a little song. How's it feel getting the song out there? What's the reaction been like so far?
Seems to be going good. Like it's good, you spend all this time like writing something with your friends and you got to wait for certain things to be done, and it's just good to have it out and finally see, get something from it of like if your mates going, oh yeah, sick one, man. Like yeah, glad it's fun,
That's the
glad it's fun to
validation
hear.
you need.
Yeah.
When did the process start on this one?
A bit ago, like I feel like we just we kind of recorded just before we went on tour with No Pressure. That was in like late
A year ago.
pretty much a year ago, and so we've been sitting on it for a bit, but
And how was like, I guess one of the things that we talked about before was, a cool thing for you guys is this band is not that old in the grand scheme of things. But, actually we talked about it in the podcast that we did the other day. Fuck, this voice is so bad.
It's awesome.
it sounds good.
It is
Good.
crazy.
Sounds good.
I feel like it's like 3 a.m. I'm listening to late night radio.
Yeah. Legit, dude.
So tell me about the writing process, boys.
Why did I do this?
No, you're chilling, man. Sounds good.
But we talked about the show at the Bendigo.
That was sick.
Which was sick as hell.
Yeah. We were super stoked on that.
Yeah.
Like
Awesome turnout.
we hadn't really played in a while. I think it'd been a bit of, we'd just sort of been waiting for everything to line up, and
August.
yeah, and we were like, oh, we should probably put on a show and like, make something, cool happen. And we got our friends from Brisbane to come down, Knuckle Dragger, and also Compound from Sydney, who's the new band, very sick. And so it was just a bit of fun just to, and people came out. It's good.
Yeah, and I mean, what I was sort of getting to is that like you know, I don't like the meteoric rise term,
Yeah.
but like it's been like for a short time, it's popping pretty quick.
Yeah.
Like the attention's been really cool, I think.
Yeah.
And like,
Working pretty hard at it. Like you guys played a bunch of shows, like you said, the no pressure shows, and then like it seems like it's rolling pretty quick.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. I just take it as we just got very lucky. We have friends who are looking after us, and a lot of people invest a lot of time into us. So, yeah. I mean, like, yeah, we work at it, but
We were
I
going
think
pretty hard, like for
Yeah.
a bit.
definitely like until we like our focus went to the record, we were sort of going like pretty hard with it. But yeah, I think like it's just sort of a stroke of good luck, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
if you've been playing in bands for a minute, which we all sort of have, and been involved in the scene, you just have kind of friends just willing to put you on. And I think that that's sort of the fortunate part of it, is that we have people already ready to be like, oh, whatever you're doing, I will listen to it and I'll put you on a show, and you know what I mean?
yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing too is like there's obviously been a real post-COVID, like a switch has been flicked that I hadn't noticed for like years before that.
Big time.
Yeah, it was really strange. Like I think during COVID, like I think a lot of like we were playing in some other bands, and obviously nothing could happen during COVID. Like Broken released like one song for a comp through like Last Ride, and so that was like our little project during lockdown. But at the same time, like and we had sort of just taken a step back and being like, oh, like we can't do shit, like let's just fucking wait, or whatever, like oh, like, we can't be fucked, whatever. But Speed were doing their thing and like really going hard, and it was a bit like, oh, what, like these guys, like we're in a fucking pandemic, like, you know, like how do you have the energy, like and it coming back from that, it's like, fuck, they really have sort of created this thing from like the lowest times of like whatever, you know, like.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I think those guys obviously were like super productive throughout that. I could not have been like less productive musically.
Dude,
Tell me about it.
Like just Xbox all day, like just like me and Akira.
You guys
just,
ever tried the drug weed?
Yeah.
I really did a lot of research on it.
It cures it actually. So I hear.
Yeah. It's the same for me. It's like killed so much like momentum and creativity and shit. Because there's like part of you going like, oh, I've got so much time, I can do everything. And you sit down and you'd be like, where the fucking riffs at? Like you just don't know. Like it's like what I can't, because I'm not living a normal life, so I'm not really inspired by it. And you know what I mean? Like it only really
sometimes
comes from,
having
like,
the busy lifestyle, it's like you
it's
really
conducive
take
to-
advantage of the time that you do have. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, during that, all I did was this podcast.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I worked, but I worked a way less than I normally would.
Yeah.
Comparatively to, you know, going places. So like my three things were I did the podcast, I drank so much beer.
Oh really? you drinking a lot of beer?
Weird. and then there was that period where the football was on every day.
Yeah.
Except one day because they condensed it. And I was like, well, I'll just do the podcast on the day that the footy's not on. And then I'll just watch football every day. But then when the football season ended, it was like,
My life's ended.
Yeah. What do I have to, you know, what do I meant to do?
now I've just got beer in this fucking podcast.
Well, it was weird because like I feel like there was different phases of the pandemic, you know, and like at the start everyone was like, fuck everything, like can't be bothered. And then as things were because like we kind of started while we were still getting locked, you know, like we kept going in, and we were meant to play our first show and it got cancelled because of, you know, of a snap lockdown or something. So like, you know, it was kind of, some of it was productive, I guess.
Well, but so to that then, how did you start it during that period?
Well, like, Mike and Schultz and like started it, I guess. Like they were kind of like, they wanted to do like a heavy hardcore band that wasn't like super generic, like, you know what I mean? Like they didn't want, they just wanted it to be like, you know, just a bit more like, yeah, whatever. And
more substance to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
bit more like, you know, focused on, you know, have it still fast and heavy at the same time.
Yeah.
But so they were just sort of chipping away at doing, like, you know, working on that. And then originally I was just recording it. And when in recording it, I ended up joining because they didn't have someone playing guitar, but like I was sort of helping at the end of it, of just sort of putting it together. And like they were pre-pouring everything at my house, and I would be like, maybe that bit's we don't need that bit there, but like, you know, but like, yeah, not a lot.
Yeah.
And then and then we just sort of went from there. But
Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
Because, like, I mean, I definitely, like we were just saying, I definitely spent like a number of times I sat down with a guitar and I was like, today's the day.
Yeah.
And then it was just bullshit.
No.
Like, just absolute trash.
Worst riffs you've ever written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was like, and that, because the thing now is a lot of people think I did the Aglo stuff during lockdown, but I did not. Like, I did that well after I could see people again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess like the having the push to do it. I mean, I suppose if it was in those breaks where you were able to start seeing people and do things. What was the show that got cancelled? What was the first show meant to be?
It was meant to be like Iron Mind.
Speed. Well, it was meant
Was
to be
it?
Speed, and then they couldn't play because then it got
Yeah.
shifted.
Yeah. So it was meant to be Iron Mind, Speed, and
Who else was meant to be on it?
the Chain were on it. But I think no, sorry,
No,
the
the
Chain
Chain
took
ones-
over from the Speed. So
Yeah.
the
it-
Speed,
Speed.
the gang called Speed.
Yeah.
It ended up being like, it ended up sort of splitting into two shows, because then our first show was still with Speed.
Yeah,
And
right.
They did their own show because then they couldn't make
Yeah.
the date later in the year work, and then
Yeah.
Iron Mind played later in the year, and we played that.
Oh,
and that
yeah,
was like
yeah.
our, I don't know, fourth show or something, which the Chain were on and whatever. So,
What's funny about that is that like at that time, like I guess this is a Speed podcast now, but at that time, like
that's all we talk about it.
when it first got announced, it was like Iron Mind, Speed, and like whatever, like AWOL, like
Yeah.
first show or whatever. And then from the show not happening, like being cancelled to like when it was happening again, they got even bigger. And
Yeah.
like, we're in America and now we're the biggest band in the world. So it was kind of like, they were like, we can't actually play the show anymore because
Yeah.
like
It's too
we're
small.
out hanging with Travis
small.
Barker or some shit. Like,
You can't play this piss out.
yeah, fucking Iron Mind. Like, yeah, we can maybe do it later soon.
What are we
but
going to headline above Iron Man? Shout out to
It's
Pete,
funny,
what's up?
yeah. Oh yeah,
Hey guys.
yeah. Thanks for making us.
Thanks for being our literal dads.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what's been cool. It's like you guys have been getting the Drain show we went to. You guys didn't play, but you got a big shout out from Drain on stage. I don't know if you knew that, but that was
True,
cool,
we did
cool to
too.
hear. Like, you know,
I think, yeah, it's the same thing, man. Like, we just, like, being involved in it and whatever, like, you make friends with this person, make friends with that person. And it's just like people who, like, I don't know, like, I guess investing in us as people, I suppose, maybe, like, maybe more than the band. I think the song's good, but, like, also it's just fortunate we've got friends, like, looking after us. So it's like,
Yeah.
helped it move along.
I think it just kind of works like that a little bit as well. Like,
It's just how shit works.
you know, you got to like put an effort. It's more than just like playing. Like, you can just play and it's fun or whatever, but like, you know, I'm sure like when you guys were first doing bands, you kind of have to like make that connection and be like, I can go to
yeah.
that city now. And like, some people just think like, like it's just going to work. Or like,
Yeah.
we're just going to be arsey. Like, you kind of
or
have
people like are in bands and they're like, we're not getting anywhere. It's like, well, you don't go to shows or anything
Yeah.
either.
That's literally
Or
It's
like-
like you don't support the scene, and
That's like, I mean, maybe you could speak to this on like a comedy level, maybe, but like the bands who seem to do the best, and like within hardcore, it's like who's the most present in the scene? Who's going to shows? Who's like when the bigger bands go to that area? Who's the people moshing?
yeah.
Who are the people up the front?
Yeah.
They're typically the bands that do well. It's
yeah,
purely
what's your
because
mosh
they're-
count, bro? Like, our mosh count in Sydney is
I mean, I think that like there's certain. I mean, I would say like the thing that's like I've noticed throughout this whole time that I've been doing this sort of stuff is that like just being present and participating in whatever, and that participating definitely does not mean like putting out content or playing,
Supporting,
or it's just being there and being like lovely also helps. So I mean, and that's always my thing is like, just be nice. Like if you're the nicest person, then probably something good will happen.
Yeah,
You
for
know?
sure. Yeah,
Like,
just be nice to everyone, and like, you know, good things will come your way. Like it's, you know, a lot of things kind of work like that. Like
I
100%.
also think it's like really not even that. It's like even simpler than that. It's just like, do you like the music? Go to a show.
Yeah.
It's like it's so fucking simple. It's like comedy, you know. Do you like going to live comedy? Go see a show. It's like, and if you're in the room, if you're a part of the thing, maybe you'll do something cool one day, and then people will fuck with it. And it's like, it doesn't even have to be that like that technical. It's just like, do you like going to music, and just go to it. It's like,
Well, it's like, I think that, you know, it's intimidating going to shows for the first time sometimes, but people see you around, and then, you know, you're part of it. It doesn't take very much, I think, for younger kids to get into it, that kind of thing.
you'll be surprised with how like much just like talking to a random person can like change the dynamic of everything. You know, like and it becomes easier to some people, but like, you know, I think most people are down at a, you know, hardcore are down to just like have fun and like have a chat with anyone. And you just kind of have to like, someone has to be the first person to like take that step and be like, hey mate, that's a nice shirt. Like, you like that song? Or
The nod is important.
yeah. Hey bro, what's up? Like, but yeah, anyway.
I feel like the other thing too that I'm now learning as I'm getting older is that there is like I think there is a distinct thing that older people go through where they decide like, I'm not talking anymore, like I'm gonna stand up the back or something.
Oh, for sure.
But then those people unfortunately inevitably end up fading away to nothingness because they aren't actively putting themselves
I
out
was
there.
going to say, that's me now, and I'm fucking 26 or whatever. Like, I'm like, you know, I've been, I'm just like, oh, fuck, man, these kids they're going quite hard in the pit. Like, I'm good.
You play one show with speed and then you're too cool.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I'm still in the pit. It just needs the right moment, you know? Like, when you were doing those pit calls the other day, I was like, oh, I could take out this metal guy right now. But they'll ruin the show. But
I would safely say there was a couple of people there who were ready to pit. There was a lot of people there who were not.
yeah. Also, read the room sometimes. Like,
I should have read the room rather than
nah, bro, it was awesome.
instructing like that.
Also, you'd be hard pressed to do a spin kick in that room. It's quite small.
It was tiny.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Did you guys ever get amongst the pit?
Yes.
Yes.
How did you go? What was the move?
You're on a Mind Snare shirt, aren't you?
I am on a Mindset shirt, which I bought and then lost somewhere between the Bendigo and the tote when I was really giving it a nudge back in the day.
giving it a nod. What a way to say that.
But yeah, I am on
You're
a
on
shirt.
the shirt, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've tried to find that shirt. I think it's one of Nicole Goodwin's picks. Like, you know, awesome pick, obviously. Yeah, and there's definitely Callum found there's a Mind Snare house show that was in someone's backyard in the middle of fucking Altona or something.
Yeah.
With me wearing a break-even hat and a flat brim cap.
Iconic.
Yeah, long shorts. Short shorts hadn't come in yet.
will we put it up here, or have you guys got that technical?
Bring it up.
Yeah, bring it up. It's here. And Aaron, you're moshing?
Yes. Not for a long time. I definitely because I came into it through being a metal guy. So like when I was playing in the first hardcore bands I was in, I was still famously had long hair. Playing,
Crazy to think about now.
Yeah, I did as well at one point.
Yeah.
Oops.
R.I.P. No, but I, was playing melodic hardcore with 2 kick drums and long hair, just the classic setup. Slow Burn, the band I was in at the time, we opened for Agnostic Front.
Oh, awesome.
And I definitely pitted with long hair. I think I was wearing a Black Label Society shirt. So real loser area.
Dude, that's awesome though. When I see someone like giving it a crack in the pit that's not like, that maybe they're not super they're not totally a part of the scene, but like, they're there.
Getting involved.
I love it. I'm like, fuck man, like this is awesome. Like, I don't know how he knows to move like that, but like...
I picked it up quick.
I can only imagine my like pit swag was
bro.
so grubby.
Being a
Like,
brother, don't
dude.
worry about that.
Dude,
Don't worry
kids
about
these
that.
days, like, there's so much footage of moshing. Like,
Yeah.
you know how to mosh. And so
Yeah.
I remember being like, how do they do that, man? Like, how do they know to
I'm
do
so
that?
glad.
The one leg
Like-
goes back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
dude.
I'm so glad no one had phones that could film when I was
yeah.
trying to do that.
bro.
Tell me about it, dude. Tell me.
But yeah, no, I definitely. I mean, I just bring that one up because it was funny because I
Yeah.
definitely had long hair. But there is a photo of me somewhere with me hanging my ponytail over Vinny Stigma's head and him using it as like a
At
fringe.
that show?
Yeah.
That's crazy. And
awesome.
we'll put it up there.
Up there.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's legendary.
That's awesome.
It was sick.
That's a
Yeah.
great story.
It was a fun show. I mean, and still in hindsight, like, why the fuck was our melodic argo band
Yeah.
agnostic front? But anyway,
And yeah, how did you get into that situation of? He probably said, "Hey kid, get your get
I
your hair
need
over
that kid who was doing the weirdest mosh moves ever. I got to touch his hair.
there." Yeah, that's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah. So the one of the things that we talked about, getting you guys to think about pre-coming, was some influences that you took into making this new record. Stop talking about me moshing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your record
My influences were Aaron Mosh.
Yeah.
with a ponytail.
Yeah.
And giving and putting his
Ag fun
hair
and
over
melodic hardcore.
Vinny
That's the
Stigma's
two
head.
that go together.
That's my two influences.
So yeah, I suggested maybe like a top 5 things that you took into this. What were those things? Like what? I mean, you can do it together. You can go each of you, however you want to talk about it.
It's the best. Like, I guess a lot of it is like influenced by like 90s sort of East Coast hardcore. Like, just trying to expand on what we kind of had already been doing, and but like sort of just organize it in a different way of like, you know, referencing some other things on just the vibe or the song structure of something like that. Like, big one for like just the sound of the thing would be like Cold as Life, like Born
Yeah.
to Land Hard,
Sick.
like that sort of, you know.
That's like a vibe one for me.
Yeah, but like
Like just the overall vibe of
the energy of that, but like I think we weren't necessarily trying to take, because like a lot of people would say they're like the hardest band ever, and like they are, but like they also have the faster sort of
Yeah.
bits and like choruses of, you know, some of their older stuff that also is on the LP, but a lot of that was sort of an inspiration for that. Like
I mean, a thing that I noticed when listening to it is that, like, I don't think I've heard a hardcore band that sounds like you guys sound in a long time, that uses double kicks that
Yeah.
aren't just like, brr, brr, like
Yeah.
using, like driving double kick.
I wish I could say it was my own idea. Didn't write any of it.
yeah.
But it's sick though. Like it's cool having that in there because again, that's like a differentiator. You know?
Like I think that kind of goes back to like the thing with trying to like we're never trying to be obvious like this is a breakdown, the heaviest breakdown. It's always like we want some class to it a little bit,
Sure.
you know, like lack of a better term. but,
Even like parts that like, and it's funny. So like when we play, we've been playing one of the songs off the record for like since like our third show for like a long time, like long before we recorded it. And when I remember when we first played that, before like obviously before anyone knew it, that like it got to parts in it that's like it's kind of more groovy, but it is a part you can mosh to, and you can almost like see people in the crowd kind of like
yeah, what is this?
like they're like, I think I can mosh to this, but I don't know. And then now you see like since we've been playing it for everyone and people know the song purely by like just watching live clips or going to enough shows, you see like people moshing at that part. It's like perfect.
Yeah, it's like
it
oh,
doesn't
why
have
is
to
this?
be obvious to you. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be the classic, you know, like
Yeah.
standard thing that like this is a mosh part. It's like kind of teaching people. I mean, and there's no part of it where like, oh, we're gonna teach
educated.
people. I'm just saying like it's like, oh, there's other ways to do it. You don't have to be like so like by the book with everything. Like you can mosh to any part of a song. It's just like
It's
gotta
funny.
be done with taste, you know.
It's funny because like when it first like we dropped the first thing or even we're playing a little bit, like a lot of people would be like what are you trying to sound like? What is this? Like it sounds sick, but like, what are you trying to sound like? And we would sort of say things and they'll be like, is that it? Like, really?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, yeah. And I think now it's sort of becoming more clear, but I think having like, so like Mike and Schultz are both from Florida, like, so they've moved here, you know, for reasons, but, and, you know,
Escaping
love,
some criminal charges.
yeah, no, yeah. And so we kind of, you know, they bring a good insight to it because they kind of, you know, maybe sort of clued on to like they have take a lot of influence from sort of like some older like Miami bands and stuff like that like not a single person in Australia has ever heard, and we hadn't even really heard it, but like if you knew it, you would maybe be like, oh yeah, that's that.
But I would say that's something that I know that those guys are from there, and you know, knowing and having played in bands for a long time, like you can always tell when someone has a different like lens, and what my assumption is it would come from something like that, like, and I think that, you know, I've always played in bands that have been, I would say, for lack of a better word, like have been kind of weirder than the other thing that is happening at the time. Even if I am like, for example, playing in a melodic hardcore band when melodic hardcore is like the biggest thing going, we were definitely not the popular version of that, because we would also put like stoner riffs in the songs, and just because we liked them, some people caught on to it, some people didn't. But what I'm trying to say is that like for what you guys are doing now, it does sound distinctly different, because I think there's a, you know, a shared pool of, you know, interests and influences, but because they're distinctly different, then the output comes out differently, you know?
Yeah, it's funny because we've also sort of like met in the middle, because like, especially with all the new stuff where it's kind of like everyone's more sort of involved with it or whatever, whereas the 7-inch was more just they'd kind of already like, you know, came up with presented a sound and like, this is kind of what we're doing. So it's funny that like, I don't know, everything sort of like works a bit better now, because I feel like we're meeting in the middle with everything, of being like, oh, like that is maybe too much, like we need to kind of maybe dial it back and like make it a bit more like,
well, it's like a unique thing to have like a band with two very, like Aaron said, different lenses, and being able to blend that together means you can do something a bit different. You're not just like the same influences kind of just lead to the same thing. So it's sick being able to try to blend that together.
It works well.
I think it's just like the mix of all of us as a you know, 5 dudes with different sort of stories or journeys to that point, and like how we can kind of refine it further and further. Because like I didn't drum on the demo, but then like I drummed on this, and like I feel like even just a drumming wise, like there's certain parts of it, that little tiny parts of it, that I've like refined just because it's like my taste, because I just want to play it the way I want to play it, or I like, oh, that's too technical, I just want to dumb it down and make it simple, or make this bit more interesting. And it's the same with like Otis comes in with other parts to like just make it, and it just refines the part of it. It's like, I think it's just a fortunate thing. We've just sort of got different tastes all sort of like working together that kind of make it sort of something that seems a bit different.
Another reference that we probably would take from is like a band like Biohazard, with more 100%. Like a bouncy sort of thing, but even just sort of how they like, you know, structure things, and like and then like even more recent sort of influences of like more recent sort of bands like maybe like a Bitter End and TUI, that kind of like their albums were very sort of like, or like the later, like the like Big Kiss Goodnight, and then a lot of the Bitter End albums, they sort of like follow that sort of like structure in a way, or like, but I feel like that's like a big influence with what that I take from anyway, of just sort of like, you know, sort of pop, like just making things a bit more catchy and like, but still like not like watered, like, you know.
Well, I think a thing that that I think is very positive for hardcore broadly that came out of bands like that too is starting to really get hammered in that like, oh, you can have a chorus. Like it doesn't need to be singing, but you can write hooks into this music. And if you write hooks into this music, people will fucking love it. Like, regardless of whether they like your band or not, they'll probably like the songs. You know?
For
Like,
sure. Like it's almost like they've taken this like incredibly hard, like almost a little bit almost a little bit like dumb, but they've made it like full, like, I don't know, like structured in a way that you're like, man, like that's good. Like, they're good musicians.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
absolutely. And I think that shows with a lot of that stuff too. That's why it lasts. That's why people keep coming back to it. That's why it continues to influence people, because, when the hook is there, it's there, and it'll keep getting plays, and people will keep recognizing it for what it is. What you mentioned before, obviously recording the pre-production stuff. You sort of taken the reins with doing a lot of the production side of it too. What was like an influence on that side of things? Like, putting the music aside, what about the recording of it?
I'm not too sure. Like, I guess with all that sort of stuff, I think it is more just like, I kind of know how to do it, and like I sort of have like a particular way of like how I want to do things, and like it sort of just is just, I'm not too sure. Like, I guess the sound of things is like,
I mean, not particularly like a record or something like that. More like, what did you want to get out of it when you were putting the record together?
As in from the sound, or like, pretty much, I don't know, like from pre-proing the songs, there was already, I felt like there was always a sort of sound there. And like, to be fair, like the style of music we're playing, and even just how it, like the chords, it's the same pretty much chord the whole way through, the big chord. It kind of just creates this sound that like, on its own a little bit. Like, I feel like you could play through, like, I feel like a lot of like high gain amps, you could sort of play through them, and I feel like it would maybe work out. It's more just like the style of the songs, but like,
I feel like you maybe put
it's a hard question. Yeah,
it's a hard question, but I feel like we more particularly Otis had a pretty on a micro level understanding of how we sound as a band, and how to lean into parts of like just parts of that sound to like emphasize certain things, and cut away the things that aren't really necessary within that sound, sort of, if that kind of makes sense. I know that makes it sound really broad, but like, we practiced a lot.
Because I think what I noticed, like, I dumb when it comes to sound. Like, that sounds sick.
That's all right. You listen to music though, so it's a valid. Got a valid opinion.
I just noticed it, like, listening to the tracks. It's like super crisp. Like, it was and it really replicated your live feel as well.
That's
I think that's a big thing of like trying to replicate. I think that's going back to what I was saying. Trying to replicate like how the songs are played. Like, it sounds dumb, but like just playing the songs had this vibe, and I was like, okay, so like. But like with production sort of stuff, like, and with the references of like the influences and stuff like that, a lot of these sort of like, Biohazard, or even like Madball, like there's a very sort of live sound, like a big sort of drums that like sound like instruments like that. Definitely like in like the that's sort of like a big thing that we try and do. And
I think like, and you kind of nailed it in the sense that like, and what I was getting at before is that like we jammed a lot, like even like when I sort of come in and started drumming, and we were getting our sound together and starting to work out how to play together. We were playing a lot together, and that like, I guess we're all just picking apart, particularly he and I, like picking apart like how it sounds and getting a guitar tone right, and like just the way I play drums, like how that translates when it's mixed and whatever, and like trying to make sure that like what he's getting at is that the vibe is there, and like you're saying like that's our live sound. Like I was talking to a friend the other day who was at a show, and he was like, oh, I remember when I'd seen you guys for the first, he's from Adelaide, he's like, I remember when I saw you guys for the first time, you were that when you guys played, it was like a big step up in like the sound, and like it was just so much louder and like more intense than everyone else. I was like, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing something
That's what
right.
we're trying to do.
Yeah.
We're consciously thinking of that stuff, trying to like it just play harder and more aggressively than anyone else. Like it's partly the sound that we're playing anyway, but like even when I play the drums, I'm trying to go like 110%, hitting them correctly, whatever, to that all those little 1%ers make the sound, and then it's just trying to get that across in a recording.
Well,
I
think
guess, you know,
like hardcore more than any other type of music is so dependent on energy.
Yeah,
and
it's 100% energy.
100%.
Like
And
if you
feeling that show that you guys played that the other week, it was like, yeah, you could feel that on stage just coming out. It was sick.
Awesome.
And like, you know, like if you guys go to a show, like you'll see 5-band bill, maybe first band's first show, second band maybe played a couple of shows, third band's maybe like, you know, that's when you start getting up to bands who've maybe done a little bit of touring, maybe they've played local a lot, I don't know. And then you're going up into the last 2 bands and they've toured a lot, they might be an international, whatever. There's always like a jump within those bands. You can always hear like, oh, that band's like, even if you can't really articulate it, you're going like, fuck, that band was really good, or fuck, they sounded really good, right? But you don't know what it is. And it's probably just that they've spent a lot of time sitting around in a jam room playing.
Well, that classic, like, just got back from Europe.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
You're like big fan, you know, you've just been playing a lot.
Yeah.
And like,
I think they're just crazy in their head, putting too much time into fucking playing.
yeah, exactly. But that affects people, you know, and that's really what we're trying to do. You're just trying to affect people. Like you want people to respond to the music that you're doing. You want them to sing along, or you want them to mosh. It's like
I've got like a test. Like if your feet start hurting halfway through a band's playing, it's like, oh no. I'm focusing too much on my feet and not the energy of like, you know, like you want to be like, whoa, what the fuck is going on?
if
This
I
is
want to look at my
crazy.
phone, you know,
Yeah.
Nah,
Why am I
feet.
thinking about my feet so much?
Yeah. Oh,
Fuck.
this shouldn't hurt this much.
And realistically, like, you know, that you want to be captivated by a band. You want to see a band play live and be like, fuck, you know, like you just want it to take you in for that, you know, 20 minutes, half an hour, or whatever. And
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
that's the best thing about hardcore is it's just that's a sort of pure concentration of that energy. So it's like just constantly trying to work out the, like, at least I am always kind of trying to work out like what's the extra little like thing that I can do to like refine that a bit further and like draw more people in, you know.
It's the same with like guitar, like watching a guitar player. Like, you know, if you're obsessed with like how a guitar sounds or something like that, and you watch, you know, like I message you like, are you using this pedal, man? Like blah blah blah. And you're like, nah. But like, I don't know. I think if you like, you know, if you care about something, it's gonna kind of show in some way.
Yeah.
In some way, like.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you know, the other thing, you know, note in my head from the record is like how good the guitar sounds on it, which is all I really care about in the grand scheme of music. But like, I mean, I think for me, like when I play shows, that's what I'm trying to do. Is just every show the guitar's got to sound better than the last show, and I'm just forever, you know, searching that.
Some people don't have that though, and like, and I totally get it because it is kind of an insane, like, it's a bit like, oh, okay, like, yeah, cool, because like no one's gonna understand what you're on about, like, oh, something, you know, my guitar was a little bit like blah blah, and like, oh no, you just sounded good, man. Who like, you know, and you're kind of like, fuck, no, you should.
I mean, one thing I know for sure is that I definitely couldn't hear myself singing because my voice would not sound like this.
It sounded lovely out the front, I'll say that.
Time for the Aglo in-ears.
Yeah.
Oh,
God.
Back
Next
in track.
level.
Get me up there. I need some pro shit.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of the other things that, you know, we were sort of thinking about to talk about with you guys. One of the main things, I suppose, is like the way this one's being released. So it's getting released overseas, which is pretty exciting. It's cool when an opportunity like that comes up. I mean, obviously, it's getting released here too. But
Yeah, of course.
no
Shout out Meadow.
Yeah,
Shout out
no
Lost Road.
shade
What
to
up, Matto?
Yeah.
also our previous guest on this podcast. Quick plug for myself, Matto.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Had done this. But yeah, so tell us about, you know, the Flatspot stuff. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about them again, but obviously like Speed, you know, and before that, like Iron Mind had been, you know, worked with Flatspot, and I guess maybe I'm not too sure. I think I remember just hearing one day Ricky saying to like asking them, yo, what's up? What's this AWOL band? Like, what do you reckon? And then, of course, they're going to be like, yeah, they're fucking sick. but he was here for like, it was Speed, Scowl, and Tsunami were touring, and obviously Scowl and Speed are on Flatspot, and he just watched us play, and I guess he was just like, oh, what are you doing? We have an LP, and he's like, yeah, would be down, and we're like, I don't know. I guess Pat hung out with him a fair bit on the tour, so that contributed to it.
Yeah, I spent like that whole time because I drive bands. They come over. And we spent like a fair bit of time, even like in rooms and shit together, hanging out, and I guess getting to know each other. He didn't really bring it up with me like until sort of the end of the tour. But it was like sort of a funny.
We were hearing of it.
We were like hearing of it, and I was like, well, I'm not going to bring it up, and like we're just going to kind of do this weird like,
thing to bring up. Like, so
yeah,
heard you want to fucking put the LP out.
It was like dating or something, you know. It's just like it was like kind of funny, and then there was just, I guess, a mutual understanding that like I suppose that like he'd shown an interest in us and whatever. So and then I guess at the end of that tour we sort of actually like talked more seriously about it, and
it's all been pretty chill. Like
that's
chill.
awesome.
It's like, and that's how most of this stuff.
But to be honest, like I've found, in the experience that I've had, when things are really easy, it generally means that it's gonna go well. Yeah. Whereas like the times where I've had to like grind my fucking ass off to make something work, kind of falls on its ass.
Yeah, for sure. And there has to be like a mutual want, on both sides, and like even just like that has, for me personally, it has to be like kind of foundational to all that is like, do I like this person? Are their ethics aligned with mine? Like, could I fucking sit in a room and talk to them?
For sure.
Do you know, like that kind of is paramount to anything else, and that I felt like was easy on that tour. We got along like totally fine, and that kind of set the tone for being like, okay, cool, like this is something we can pursue. And then it's so easy. It's like not even a thing really. We just started talking more.
But it's
here we are, I guess.
Cool for you guys as a band, because I guess you obviously had that, but then you look at Flatspot and they got some of the best hardcore bands going at the moment, that's like they wouldn't put you guys on if you didn't fit that as well.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, we were a little bit like, what? Like we're super like, we love what we're writing and stuff like that, and we really enjoy doing it all. But we're kind of like, what's the deal? Like,
that's good.
He was just like, oh, I want to do it. I'm like, sick. Yeah.
I mean, it's good to go to it with that as well, and also not going into it like, this record fucking rocks, dude. Put it out.
It's a healthy mix of both.
Hey, brother, here's our email.
Like, duh, we fucking know it. No. But that's the thing. It's all just been super easy. That's the same with our relationship with Matto. It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like they're just our friends. They're people like we could hang out with, and that's like that's the way it should be. Like
absolutely.
It shouldn't. That's why this genre is perfect, because it's like it should just be all like, I like this person and they're my friend, and let's work together. Let's do some cool shit together. It doesn't have to be anything more than that, because then that's when it gets in a bit, I don't know, businessy sort of like.
Yeah, and I mean I've had like some opportunities that were like on paper sounded fucking mad, but then in reality were like kind of whatever. Like I've got funny stories from them, but other than that,
do tell.
Other than that, I don't really have that much. Is just like, putting it out with my mates or myself or whoever has yielded as the same result as doing something that sounds crazy, And I think that's the thing that is inevitably always going to come back around, particularly in hardcore, is that like at the end of the day, like the scene is what is going to support it. Like, so even if it is, really DIY or really supported, financially or otherwise, at the end of the day, if you're contributing and you're participating, you're doing all that stuff that we were talking about earlier, it's probably going to pop anyway, just because of all that.
And like even like to simplify it even further, like isn't just doing shit with your friends fun? Like, doesn't it like that's,
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, sometimes.
I mean,
What's
sorry.
it like to have friends?
It sounds like when you
like-
do shit with your friends, it must be fun. I wouldn't know. But no, like, you know, like, isn't anything fun when you do shit with your
Yeah.
Oh,
friends?
yeah.
Like, you know, like, that should be kind of the only purpose, really. It's just like, well, I like this thing and you like
Yeah.
this thing. Let's do something fun together.
Yeah. I mean, and I think the other thing too is like, I mean, everyone has this in their, you know, approaches in their own way. But for me, it's just, I've had this realization in the last couple of years that like, I'm only going to do the stuff that is fun. And if it's not fun, there has to be a reason why I've like decided to take that hit. Oh yeah. As you can see,
Yeah, fucking look at this setup, man. It's crazy. You guys are fucking doing so good with this.
thank you, Ben, who is paying for this. No, but you know, like I think, yeah, like why start a band that is just me playing stuff about Star Trek, other than to
It's
just have fun,
Yeah.
you know? So what's next? What's the future looking like
Yeah,
beyond the
when's
record
it come
coming
out? Like,
Yeah.
what? Any shows planned to release it?
It's the release date for the whole thing is the 26th of April. And I guess we'll probably do a tour for that. We got a couple shows. We're going to New South Wales in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. For Downside's record release, and then we're doing our own show in Newcastle that the homies over there set up.
Sick.
Yeah, it's a cool scene going on over there.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. We're just waiting to see how what people think of it. I guess
think,
you
like,
know.
Yeah, and it's all just dependent on whether people give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like I mean, if people want to see us, like we'll play, and that's we're constantly talking to people to, you know, play shows, potentially, interstate, internationally, whatever.
Yeah.
The interest is there, but it's like, it's just nutting those offers out and like, you know, working out whether they work and whether we can do them and whatever. And yeah, like again, it's a bit hard until the record comes out. Like we've put one song out and people fuck with it, but like, who knows? Like realistically,
The rest of it might be terrible.
yeah, we've put
yeah.
the best song out on the record, and the rest of it is you'll fall asleep.
Nah, it's good.
Yeah, you'll have sore feet by track 2.
Yeah, sitting down on your couch at home, you'll have sore feet.
Yeah, all my ears hurt.
Yeah.
Well, I guess just to like kind of wrap up, what have you guys been enjoying lately, music wise? Like not connected to the album. What have you been listening to that you've been really fucking with?
You go first. You feel like you listen to music?
Yeah, he doesn't.
No, I
Too busy recording it. You can't be listening to it.
well, honestly, that's the first thing that went to my head. I'm like, I've been doing a fair bit of mixing, you know, and like I'm still learning, so it takes me a little bit longer. And like, you know, I'm a bit of a try, you know, I'll sit there for fucking ages, just like, and I've gone nowhere, you know. But I feel like I am, you know. It's like getting that magical guitar tone. You're like,
Yeah.
Anyway, but because I've been doing a lot of that, I don't really have a solid answer for it. So Pat might have to go first, and I'll.
Sheesh. I mean, I actually do listen to quite a lot of hardcore. I feel like, yeah. I mean, I go back more. I listen to like older stuff. I'm trying to like just dig and find like old shit that I haven't heard before.
What's been a recent discovery?
Recent discovery. I mean, there's bands that like I've known about that have like stuff that I've like heard about for years and just was busy listening to like this current thing or whatever. What can I say?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, just small shit like and the other thing is like going on tour with bands and stuff. They'll like
Give you good recommendations.
Yeah, like because it's like their area. Like, it's not a name drop at all. But when it went on a tour with a band from like the Baltimore, like DC sort of area, and another dude was from Ohio. So we were just having conversations in the band where they were like, "Oh, have you listened to this band or this like old Clevo band that I'd never heard of?" And like, it's like, "Fuck, I've never even heard of this." Like some random band from the '90s and shit that like is perfect that I've just never found before. That, you know. So there's just there's tons of that kind of stuff that like that I've been digging up and like. you know, I might know about 5 bands from that scene, but then there's like another one that used to always play with those
Yeah,
bands.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, I've heard of them, but I've just never like, there's just so many bands out there that, you know.
I've got a band for everyone that you should check out from your area, Canberra.
Okay.
There's a young band. Their name is Thantu.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're fucking sick.
Yeah,
I've listened to it a little bit, but our good friend Jordan, I think
Shout out Leaks.
maybe taught them or something, and because he's a teacher, so
Yeah,
like
yeah.
maybe there were
Yeah,
students
right.
at the school he went to or whatever. But we're playing with them in Newcastle actually. But
Oh, yeah,
they're-
cool.
They're fucking good. They're like they must be 18 or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
See, when we talked the other week about there being a thriving Canberra hardcore scene,
This is
this is it.
Dude, they're so sick. Like if I was that good at their age, like
Shit.
it's crazy how they just even know to do what they're doing. You know what I mean? I'm like, fuck.
Something in the water up
Yeah,
there.
I think so. Yeah. Shout out Vera.
Oh,
Yeah.
my other homies.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, like that stuff is like again, I was in Canberra yesterday losing my voice. But even talking to people yesterday there, like it is definitely popping.
For sure.
And so draw attention to that, not via me. But
Yeah.
like,
Canberra and Newcastle are both like, yeah, like maybe they probably have like seems like they have the youngest active scene.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like
Yeah, Newcastle definitely, I would say.
here like there's stuff happening, but young people, I feel like new faces, people doing stuff is like not as much as over there, but like
Yeah.
maybe seems that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I see it when I go on tour a bit. There's some places have it more than others. It's again, it just like comes back to the same common trope of it's just like about the community and how strong
Yeah.
it is. Like, you know, how are those kids going like bringing another kid who's sort of on the outside? Maybe he's like a kid in a fucking Black Label Society shirt with long hair. Are they going to their mate and going,
fuck
hey,
that kid.
come see this band? Yeah.
That's what I see with that Thantu band. It's like
Yeah.
they're like not really necessarily playing like super hardcore music, but the music they're playing is so sick and like unique sort of sounding. I feel like
Yeah.
that it's like
I played this show with Phantoms in Adelaide a month ago, and I hadn't played a show in Adelaide in I think like 8 years or something was what I realized when I was there. Like it had been forever since I'd been there, and I used to go there quite a lot, and I used to play in a band from Adelaide and stuff. So I was like, when I went there, I was kind of expecting that it would be the same or like it would
Terrible.
be well.
I got a couple stories about that place. I'll fucking tell you one or two of them.
I was expecting the Enigma Bar Predator
Yeah.
to come and get me.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Yeah. But then I go there and played the show, and it was fucking crazy.
Yeah,
and
looks
like,
like that.
there was like I think there was like over 200 people there. I did not recognize any of them,
Yeah.
and I was
so
like
sick.
that. And someone was like, "Oh, isn't that a bummer?" And I was like, "Well, not really, because the people I'm friends with are like 40, so I don't really care that they're not here."
You shouldn't be knowing anyone at
Yeah.
the show. I really feel like there should be new people doing it. Like when I played there, like just before lockdown, it was probably the last tour before lockdown. It was with
God, it was
Crust
grim.
and Regulate, and there was probably like 10 people there. Like
Yeah.
and Crust from New Jersey Shore, they like lost odds on, you know, you play games on tour, they lost odds and they're playing in they played in their undies. That was what they had to do. And like I just remember like there was like 4 people in the room, and that's like half the tour or whatever of people on tour, and then like one dude walking and going, what the hell? And then like I went back with Speed, and it was like, fuck, this is crazy. And I couldn't help myself. I was like, yo, I played here a couple years ago before you know, the pandemic, like with the band called Broken, like who was there? And everyone was like, yeah. I was like, no, you weren't. Like, fuck them all. Like, there was no one there.
There was 5 people
You
there.
lied. That's exactly what. Yeah, I was like, fuck that. But yeah, it's all good.
I mean, those people were probably 14 years old. then.
I think
they are
tho-
now the right age.
Those people there, like I'm pretty sure are now like Winner's Circle and all those
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
bands going
yeah.
on. So it's like the couple people at the show, like you know, are now running the shit. So
Yeah,
like,
big time.
Yeah, it's kicking now though. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, and that's again, like, I'm fortunate where I get to go on tour and see this sort of shit. And like when the last time I would have been there was, the last time I was there was on that Speed Scowl Tsunami run. And it was fucking crazy. It was like crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, am I in Adelaide right now? Like, this is a trip. Like, they definitely have like more of a persuasion to like heavier stuff. Like, you know, if it's stuff's a bit like different, they're not like as fucking with it. But like, man, during the Speed and Tsunami specifically, it was fucking crazy. And I was like, whoa, like, because I remember like playing there in my old bands and shit as well, just being like, it was so grim. It was so grim, and we were like, we're never fucking coming back here. But
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I've played dog shit shows everywhere.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
it's
Yeah.
not. This isn't Adelaide specific.
No. But I'm just saying it's good because like they've clearly done something that's like,
Yeah.
they've clearly just like
anything's possible, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
If you can save Adelaide,
If you can
Respect
pit, you can
Adelaide.
create a scene. You know, you just need a couple
Respect.
pitters.
You just need, and that's the thing, dude. We used to have people in my old band. There would be people who like we wouldn't have Adelaide on a tour because like you wouldn't make money going there. You drive over there, it wouldn't be enough people to make money for you to even make the trip there. So we wouldn't go there. You'd have people going like, "Oh, why no Adelaide?" And then you'd play there. And then I remember one time, this one guy on our like commented being like, "Oh, why no Adelaide?" And then the next tour we went there and we were playing and he was sitting on the stage. And I was like, well, of course we don't want to fucking come here. And so we were getting that shit. Right?
Yeah, why aren't you pitting, brother? Come on.
You want to see
Get off your ass.
fucking stage diving,
Yeah,
pitting, or
people
anything?
enjoy the show in, you know, the weirdest ways.
Yeah.
To
and
me,
so,
it's
like,
doing a couple karate kicks in the pit every
Get
now
some
and then.
chairs
But,
in here.
yeah, get a chair, throw a beer in.
The
like,
point being is that then we go back and we play, you know, our first like tour. I mean, we did like weekenders, but that tour with Speed, and we went back there. It was just like night and day different. I was like, holy shit, like, you know, it was like, it was just, you know, and then like again going there again last year, you know, on that next Speed tour, that was at a bigger venue, and it was like even crazier. Like, you know, all the bands got a pit. You know, it wasn't just like the headliner; it was all the bands, and it was like, okay, so it's clearly something's working. Clearly, there's like people bringing someone, because that doesn't happen without like, you know, that community sort of spreading out, and that's like cool to see. Like, you know, it's all of this stuff's just like working as it should. You know, it's just people talking to people, bringing people along. There's more people coming in.
And if there's a bit of hype, people are like, I want to be part of it. Like,
Absolutely.
And if it's a good scene, people are like, I want to be involved.
Absolutely, that's it. And then like it goes back to my previous points of just like, you know, people see like people are friends with other people and like, oh well, they're all friends and they're hanging out, like, oh, I want to be part of that, like that crew, or, you know, whatever it might be, you know, or I want to be playing in a band that like is on these shows, or you know what I mean, like that's, I know, fuck, I would have done that when I was a kid, like seeing, you know, like so like it's cool, and like we're just benefactors of being able to play in this time. Like now we come through and like we get to play all these cool shows as well. So I don't know, it's just a fortunate time. We come out, write some tunes, and then we play some cool shows. That's it. It's like it's cool. It's just cool to be a part of it, I guess.
Yeah, and it's sick to see from the outside. Like, it's just kicking along. It's awesome.
Absolutely.
All right. That's a pretty good place to wrap her up.
Great spot.
Got anything to plug other than literally the thing we've been talking about for an hour?
Otis T. Benny recordings.
Yeah.
For all your
I
recording
plugged the
needs.
Ox. You'll hear about it soon.
The Ox.
The Ox. And the rest of our shit that's coming out. But, you know, whatever.
Yeah, you know that's coming. That's why we're here listening to it.
Look up AWOL. The rest will,
Yeah.
you'll be able to figure it out.
Follow the socials. Jump on there. Say, why no Adelaide?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sit on the stage, be an absolute dog. You got anything to plug? 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Just come to Catfish Comedy every Tuesday. Got some sick lineups coming up for comedy festival, so check that out. Good drop-ins.
Dope.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah. Solo.net, my website.
Yeah, got an update.
Got a big update. I'm firing up my MySpace HTML skills.
Let's go. Let's go.
Top 8 income.
What's the song on it? Oh, you can make AWOL the song on the
Yeah.
Look at us
Can I get
go.
a MIDI version?
Yeah,
of this?
yeah. I've got that on my
16-bit.
computer actually. We got the Nightcore remix on it.
Yeah, hell yeah. AWOL sped up.
I got nothing to plug, I don't think.
Extortion. World Peace Show coming up.
Oh yeah, go to that. That's in April. Extortion are playing with World Peace.
Do you know the date?
6.
6. Okay.
No clash.
No,
No.
World Peace got 2 bass
same
players.
Yeah, I
That's
heard this the
crazy.
other day. 2 bass players. That's
I can't wait to see that. Apparently, they're a huge band. I had not heard of them, so soz. But
There must be rumbling in the room. Fucking
yeah. So I can't wait to go there and play our brand of very fast songs and then them rattle the shit out of the gasso. But
that'll be dope.
yeah, doing that. And then, I don't know, Extortion going to the States.
Oh hell yeah.
Oh, true. You're playing.
Look that up.
MDF, aren't you?
We are.
Truth.
I get to see Dismember. Sick as hell. Can't wait.
Awesome, dude. Like,
Yeah, but why am I plugging
flowing
Extortion?
stream.
Extortion's bigger than me.
Yeah.
They don't need any
They don't need
airtime.
me.
Everyone in America's got that shirt.
Yeah.
So I hear from the people in my band. Yeah, everyone got that shirt, bro, back home.
Goated.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you very much for doing this, guys.
Thanks for coming in,
having
Thanks for
guys.
having us.
Tear 'em to bits.
Tear 'em to bits. Check it out.
Listen to
Follow Oblivious Maximus if you haven't already.
it.
If you're not a personal friend of ours listening, in.
Yeah,
If you're not a personal friend of ours, fuck you.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, if
too.
you take anything away from the podcast, it's probably that.
yes.
community, come to shows, but also fuck you.
Yeah.
Be my friend or else.
All right. Thanks again, guys.
Brutal.